Since we're talking about constraints, the next controls I'm going to make are going to be for the top joint and the bottom joint, and for these, most of what I'm going to be doing is just translating them around so I can get some bounce in the ball. Because of that, I'm going to use a very simple double arrow curve. And in this case, I am not going to use a group node. I'm just going to scale this down, snap it on up here, and rotate it 90 degrees. It could probably be a little smaller. This isn't a control I figure I'm going to be using a ton, so I'm going to make it pretty small. Right now that curve looks like it's going to be hidden a little bit by the ball. If I set this to R, you can see, yeah, it's like sticking halfway out the ball's head, which is not great. I'd like it to be a little bit further, so what I'm going to do is move the arrow up, maybe like that, and then I'll use my D key, pivot manipulation mode, to snap that pivot point back on down to the joint. I'll hit D again, and now my pivot is in the right spot. I will go ahead and freeze transformations. This will be my top control. I can Control D to duplicate. I will hold down my V key and snap this one down to the bottom, and then rotate it 180 degrees, like so. I will freeze transformations on this one as well, and then I'll rename this. This is going to be my bottom control. Now, I like my rigs to be nice and neat and tidy, and I'm sure that all of you will too. So I'm going to take these two controls and I am going to group them into a, let's call this a squash group. In order to make these controls work, all I'm going to be doing is setting up a point constraint. And remember, the point constraint only does translational motion. That's fine. So I will head into my point constraint option box. I will select my curve first and my joint second. I have to do this one at a time. So I'm going to be sure that I'm doing the top curve and the top joint. Again, I will be maintaining offset here, even though the pivot points are in the same place technically. There is a technical offset between the joint and the curve. And now I can apply. Again, you'll see that I've got a constraint node created here under the joint, and that the joint's channels have turned blue. I'll repeat this process with the bottom control and the bottom joint. Again, I'll make sure that I have just the control and the joint selected. The joint should be green, maintain offset, and apply. I will close this, and now if I take a look at my bottom control, it will indeed move the bottom joint, and my top control will indeed move the top joint. In both cases, I'm only translating. My animator will not be able to do anything with the rotate or scale, so I will take the rotate, scale, and visibility channels, right-click, and lock and hide selected, and now all these do is translate. The other thing that I need to be aware of is that the parent of those two is this root control here. And you'll see that right now when I move the root, my top and bottom controls are being left behind, which causes the top and bottom joints to be left behind. Easy fix. I'm going to take my squash group node and I'm going to make it a child of the root control curve. So now my hierarchy goes root group, root control, squash group, bottom control, top control. The bottom and top controls are both still nice and clean. The squash group node inherits the transforms of the root control, which in turn inherited the transforms of the root group. So this group node is a good important group. It both holds these controls together, and it will contain the weird data from the initial root group. Group nodes, they're invisible, but you need them. So that takes care of the top, of the bottom, and of the root. We've only got a few more controls to do, but each control we make is a little bit more advanced, so make sure that you are very comfortable with these constraints before you move on to the next unit, which is going to be the ears.